How you doing, folks? Folks, this is Mike Morris. I call myself Brother Mike on my videos, and I'm broadcasting to you from the great city of Worcester, Massachusetts. I got a lot of videos on YouTube. A lot of them are about my experiences in life, and many of them are about an event that occurred a couple of years ago involving the Worcester Police. It is like ballooned, into of quite the ordeal, you know. But Brother Mike is the kind of guy that gets an issue, and I work it until it's done, and I try to have myself guided by the principles of truth and the betterment of life for my fellow citizens. So I really kind of take it very seriously, and I want to bring to you a video here today uh, that runs in tandem with my experience of pursuing justice here in Worcester. Uh, I'm going to give you an introduction. I have prepared a report on the events that constitute the content of this video. I have a section called background, I got a section called summary of the issue at hand, and I have a final section called conclusions and impressions. And I hope that you'll stay with me. If you feel like you want to turn the channel, just wait 10 seconds because I might say something that captures your interest. It's a very important issue. And I'm going to begin. Folks, the powers that are not granted to the federal and the state government belong to the people. One of these powers that we have is the freedom of speech. I'm exercising that power right now. I got myself in trouble for exercising that power. That's really what brought about this whole matter. Some police officer objected to my criticism of the Worcester Police and took advantage of an opportunity to let me know how bad he felt about what I had to say. Now, our way of life is under attack from within and from without. From without, we have a terrorist organization called ISIS. These folks are bent on destroying our country and our way of life. From within, we have another terrorist organization working against us. They're working against us in cities all across this nation, and they're called the police. It's very unfortunate what's going on today in America regarding the behavior of the police, particularly towards the African American population. It's hideous, and I mean, it's murderous, and it's got to stop. So every little element of our judicial system, our criminal justice system, from the cop on the street to the judge sitting up on that bench, is very, very important to the resolution of this problem. And our first line of defense against this internal enemy is our court system. We rely on the courts to be objective and fair. Without a functioning judiciary, we have nothing left but the chaos of the mob. And we've seen that. We've seen how that works. If mob rule worked, we'd be living in a utopian world because there's been a lot of it. And Brother Mike is 65 years old, and I can remember all the way back in the 60s, when we had riots all across America over the assassination of Martin Luther King. And I remember Rodney King. I remember, of course, we all are aware of Ferguson now. We have this matter here in Chicago of a cold-blooded murder of a 17-year-old boy, shot 16 times, fallen to the ground after being shot in the back twice, and then catching 14 more rounds from some maniac cop. I'm not saying all police are like this, but gee whiz, we've got a problem and we need to face it. We need to confront it. We need to confront it here in the city of Worcester as well. We've been fortunate. We've been blessed. We haven't had a loss of life, but we do have many instances of the police failing to embrace the concept of equality under the law. Now, like I said, without a functioning judiciary, we don't have anything left but mob rule. And this video is a report intended to reveal a critical flaw in the Worcester, Massachusetts District Court Criminal Division. So please pay attention, because at any time you can find yourself directly affected, particularly if you're economically challenged and a minority. I'm going to begin reading my report. Background. In the year 2013, I was a defendant in the Worcester District Court answering the criminal charges of being disorderly and disturbing the peace as a result of being arrested after placing a 911 call concerning a disturbance in my neighborhood. The docket number of this matter is 1326 CR 004. I functioned as my own attorney in this matter. We call that being a pro se. The district attorney invoked its right to reduce these charges to civil infractions and offered me a deal if I was to take responsibility for these charges. I refused, citing that the charges were manufactured, that the officer's report was a total fabrication, and I had done nothing to take responsibility for. I was very adamant on that point. They offered me a deal three different times. I turned them down because Brother Mike didn't do anything, and I was not going to take responsibility to elude the process of being charged criminally. But they dropped it to a civil matter. And I think primarily because, the police didn't have the evidence that they needed to prevail in a criminal court, which requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil court, they only have to prove, offer a preponderance of the evidence. So it's easier for them to win. But it's for the defendant, it's like being charged with a traffic ticket. Now, 2 years later, I'm a plaintiff. I'm bringing the charges in United States District Court here in Worcester against the 3 officers who responded to my 911 call and the Worcester Police by extension and the city of Worcester. I am alleging malicious prosecution and a failure to intervene. The docket number on this matter is 4:14-CV 40164DHH. I am again appearing pro se. In the process of these civil matters, they have an outline that you have to follow in order to progress down the line to a conclusion. And I was required to file what they call a mandatory disclosure statement. This is where you give the other guy all the information and evidence that you have, and they in turn give you all the information and evidence that they have, to support their case. So this is in accordance with Federal Rule 26.1A1. I sought to include in this statement 2 affidavits which were filed in the district court matter, which required that I retrieve them from the docket, which is in the care and custody of the clerk's office at the Worcester District Court. Now, an affidavit is a statement. It's notarized, swearing that it's a true statement. And typically these affidavits come from witnesses. I had 2 affidavits in the district court matter that I was able to get from 2 eyewitnesses, and they were notarized. I took these documents to a notary public, and he put his seal on them, an embossed seal. And this testified to the truthfulness of these statements. Now, the summary of the issue at hand. On Wednesday, this is what we're talking about right now. On Wednesday, November 18th, I went down to the district courthouse to retrieve these affidavits. It bears noting that the clerk who assisted me initially refused to provide me access to the docket, stating, "I don't think you have a right to see the docket." My reply was, "I believe I do." She left and returned a short time later with the docket for my perusal, informing me that the information I sought, the two affidavits, was not in the docket. She had obviously searched through the docket for the affidavits prior to reluctantly handing it over to me. I found her posture somewhat pejorative. Upon reviewing and receiving the docket, I remember thinking that it felt underweight, considering the amount of material I filed during the course of the district court matter. I left no stone unturned. I was throwing paper at them left and right. I looked through the entire docket, and lo, the supporting affidavits were not there. However, the motion to dismiss, and this is a standardized form that you get from the clerk's office. You know, they prepare this form themselves, and you just fill in the blanks. You know, the motion to dismiss form to which these affidavits was attached was in the docket. Now, the original affidavits I filed had been notarized, and the raised embossed stamp of the notary public was clearly visible. We both, the clerk and myself, found the absence of these affidavits to be curious. I asked her if there were any common reasons or causes for the supporting affidavits to be absent while the motion was not. The motion clearly stated that these affidavits were attached. She could offer no answer. She encouraged me to go to the district attorney's office to see if they possibly had custody of these affidavits. I did so, and they did not. The supporting affidavits were nowhere to be found. In fact, they were missing. The clerk who assisted me can bear this out. Now, the gentleman I spoke with at the district attorney's office, very nice man. You know, for the most part, these people are very nice. You know, matter of fact, I have some real fans at the district court and in the police department who have watched my videos and who approve of what I'm attempting to do here, you know. But the gentleman I spoke with at the district attorney's office encouraged me to return to the clerk's office in search of a sheet containing an itemization of the materials contained in the docket, thinking this might give me a clue as to their whereabouts. I did not. By that time, I had enough. I was going to go home, okay? You know, I get home and, you know, I'm thinking, you know, where the heck could these things be? You know, I mean, this is no joking matter. You know, this is important because when I turn in that document, you know, that mandatory disclosure order to the United States District Court, I want to have affidavits in there that are notarized because they have more weight. You know, they have more credence. You know, it's a seal attesting to their truthfulness. Okay? Now, so 2 days later, on November the 20th, I returned to the clerk's office hoping to glean some insight into what could have possibly happened to these affidavits. Upon entering, the same clerk who had assisted me 2 days prior said, "What are you doing back here?" This is just what she says. "What are you doing back here?" Nice greeting, huh? Again, I found this reception to be somewhat pejorative. On this occasion, I was assisted by a second clerk. I informed her that I wanted to view the docket to determine if other documents that I believe should be contained might also be missing. I provided her with the docket number, wrote it down on a slip of paper. She returned stating that I could not see the docket because the docket number was wrong. What had happened is I had simply transposed 2 digits when writing the docket number down. I corrected this easily discoverable error, and she went to retrieve the docket. At this point, the clerk who had assisted me initially joined us. I informed them that my intention was to take an inventory of the documents contained in the docket for the purpose of comparing that inventory with the inventory of documents associated with this case that I have in my home computer. I wanted to make sure that those affidavits weren't the only documents missing, because when she handed me the docket, it seemed light to me. It seemed thin. I got the immediate impression that it was not all of the documents that I had filed. And the clerk I spoke with originally offered some possible reason. She joined us, as to why the affidavits might not be in the docket. She informed me that not all the documents that are filed necessarily become part of the docket. She said that if, in the opinion of whoever may receive the documents or other court personnel, if in their opinion they determine these documents to be superfluous or unnecessary or without value, that person may exclude them from the docket. Okay? In other words, not every document that is filed necessarily ends up becoming part of the permanent record contained in the docket. I found this to be unusual, given the arbitrary and capricious nature of such a decision. She was not impressed that the motion to dismiss contained in the docket on my previous visit indicated clearly that there were attachments. There was no doubt that, because she was relying on this form, this motion to dismiss form, as being the totality of this whole document array. But I clearly, right on the last page of this form, I had written, "See also 2 affidavits attesting to my perspective on what happened," okay? But this didn't impress her, So how can these things be considered superfluous? I mean, they're part of a very important motion, a motion to dismiss. Nothing seemed to make a lot of sense. I asked if they time-stamped every document that was brought to them for the purpose of being entered into the docket. When you bring a document to the clerk's office, they put it in a machine that stamps the time that they receive it, and then they file it in with the docket. Yes, she answered yes, it was time-stamped. And the motion to dismiss the form did have a red timestamp affixed. I asked if they maintained a separate sheet that is an inventory of the documents brought to them for the purpose of being entered into the docket. She answered no. Brother Mike was a clerk in the juvenile court in Minneapolis, and on every docket that we had regarding those juveniles, we had a cover sheet where every time something came in, you kind of put a little abstract in the line, the date and what it was, so you had a kind of like a synopsis of index, really, of what was in the docket. No, they don't do that at the Worcester District Court. I asked if they maintain a record of persons to whom the docket had been released, including the date of its release and a record of its return. She answered no. Once again, when I was a clerk, judges would ask for the kid's docket, and they'd take it to their office and do whatever they wanted to do with it, you know what I mean? And Sometimes they forgot to bring these things back. So the next time somebody asked for it, you're like, where is it? So we had a little sheet where we kept a record of who was the last person to take possession of this docket, so that you could go to like Judge Alexander's clerk, and she'd dig through her desk and, oh, here it is, sorry, and okay, everything's fixed. They don't do that, she says, at the Worcester District Court. They don't keep an inventory of who retrieves these dockets and when they're returned. I concluded that this lack of control is almost an open invitation for anyone who had a mind to abscond with any materials if they should choose to do so. Almost as an aside, before leaving, I took one last look through the docket for the missing affidavits. I figured, hey, I'd been there 2 days earlier. They weren't there. They're probably not there now. But I said, let me just take a quick look. Lo and behold, they were there. Here they are right here, I said. Well, they weren't in there the other day, the original clerk commented. She seemed as surprised as I was at their presence in the docket. There was also the possibility that, for whatever reason, she removed these documents prior to giving me the docket on the 18th. Her attitude didn't help me not form, that possibility, because she really was treating me poorly, Case closed? Got the affidavits? No, not really. I immediately noticed that these affidavits were not the original affidavits I had filed some 2 years ago, but rather some kind of bastardized copy. I say this because there was no raised embossed notary seal visible on these affidavits. Neither was there the faintest impression of there having been a notary seal. I pointed this fact out to the original clerk. I said, where are the original affidavits? She had no comment. Now, conclusions and impressions. Obviously, there are issues regarding the diligence with which this clerk's office cares for the records they are tasked to maintain. These particular affidavits, in conjunction with my obligation to file a mandatory disclosure statement in my federal court case, are of particular value to that case pending against these 3 officers, and by extension, the Worcester Police. These affidavits from these eyewitnesses, these truthful statements that they have sworn to be true, tend to show that the criminal complaint filed against me, which again was vacated, was indeed malicious when taken on their face and compared to the report of the incident resulting in my arrest, propounded by the arresting officer. He put together a report. He authored a report that was nothing but a stone cold pack of lies. And he was assisted by the fact that his own brother was one of the officers that responded to the 911 call and participated in arresting me. His brother. The Worcester Police sent 2 brothers to my 911 call, and you can best believe that anything one brother said, the other brother's going to back him up. You want to talk about a blue wall of silence? It doesn't get any bluer or any more silent when the accompanying officer is your brother. Okay? Now, these affidavits tend to show that the criminal complaint filed against me was indeed malicious when taken on their face. They also tend to bolster my allegation against the other officer for failing to intervene, the brother. Most importantly, they tend to show that the report filed by the arresting officer was a complete fabrication. Their absence from the docket containing all the original paperwork filed in conjunction with this matter tends to cast the report filed by the arresting officer in a much more favorable light. The cavalier manner in which these documents were maintained and controlled invites persons who might have a motive to do so to simply remove them from the record. Obviously, no one but me was aware of my intention to appear at the courthouse on November the 18th to retrieve these affidavits. When I arrived for that purpose, what I discovered was a docket absent certain original documents favorable to my federal case. Any person seeking to review this docket prior to that date would have found the same thing I found on the 18th. This discovery would have distorted their impression of the district court case by casting it in a light more favorable to the defendants, the police, in the federal matter. It is presently known that someone removed these documents from the record, but it is unknown who that someone is. It is also presently known that someone returned these documents to the record once it became known that I was seeking them. What else could explain their absence on the 18th and their subsequent presence on the 20th? It is also known that these replacement documents are not the originals, but some kind of copy because they don't bear the notary stamp. Where are the originals? Find that out, and you'll find out who removed them. I have my suspicions, but it's speculation, and I'm not going to share it with you, you know. But conveniently, there's no record of who accessed this docket and when. I believe the methods and protocols employed by the district court's maintenance of the records of the matters heard there should be reviewed in light of the anomalies discovered and contained in this report. It would appear that certain unethical conduct, cranberry juice, may have occurred. Culturally, I feel the manner in which I was treated by the court personnel should also be reviewed, and that the issues discussed should be reviewed on a state and a federal level. Folks, if we don't have a court system and court personnel that operate fairly and according to the rules, we're all in trouble. I don't care who you are. You know? We need to review. We need to find out how can something like this happen? You know, how can very important documents just disappear from the possession of the criminal division of the Worcester District Court and then mysteriously reappear once the primary person involved in the matter comes seeking them? You know, something. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out something's rotten in Denmark here, okay? I wonder if I would have been treated the same way if I was a white member of the professional elite, rather than an African American appearing pro se. They think they can walk all over you because you're not a lawyer. I got a paralegal degree. I graduated from my paralegal program, Phi Theta Kappa. I paid attention. When I had constitutional law, I got an A in constitutional law. My professor called me and told me don't even show up for the final examination. I'm sure you're going to like your grade, you know? So I'm not some idiot, some, I don't want to use the N word, but that's what the police try to make me look like in their report, like some kind of maniac. You know what I mean? I'm not that a maniac like they portrayed me to be. And I'm not stupid enough to go down to the courthouse and can't find my original documents and not wonder why and try to get to the bottom of it, you know? And I went back there on a third time, to deliver this report to the lady at the district court clerk's office. I wanted her to give it to her superior. And I walked into the office, and she looks at me and goes, "Do you need help?" Kind of like it had a double entendre to it, And I answered her, well, that's kind of like a loaded question, And, then she says to me, "What can I do for you, Mr. Morris?" And I'm trying to be nice. And I thanked her for trying to be nice. But there is no reason in a professional environment that someone, a citizen, who is an attorney in his own matter, appearing pro se, should walk into the clerk's office and be treated like that, because I'm certain that they don't treat the city attorney like that when he goes in there, So this woman's got some kind of an attitude, some kind of a prejudice, and I have my suspicions as to how these prejudices originate, what the nexus of them are, because a lot of people here in Worcester, because of my activities, consider me to be a troublemaker. I don't make trouble, but when I see trouble and trouble comes my way and I don't go looking for it, I'm not going to run away from it, because I'm not afraid, because I love America, because I got little children here in Worcester that I love that are growing up in this town, and there's little children all over America growing up in America, and I want them to grow up in a good America. I'm 65 years old. I had a little taste of the good America. Some of you poor people out there who are not as old as me, you have never seen America when it was good, so you don't know what you're missing, but we can get it back. But we've got to be vigilant. We've got to stand up. We live in a society of rights and duties, and we have rights as citizens, and we have a duty when we catch these people with their pants down, lying, filing false reports, and adulterating district court records, to do something about it. And that's what this video is all about. And, I really hope that some of you will follow me, because if you hit the subscribe button, you're going to have access to some of the previous videos. And, I get a little long-winded, you know what I mean? But there's a couple of those videos there that have a lot to say, about our judicial system, our country, and particularly what's going on here in the city of Worcester. And one of these days, this thing could blow up in your face. Hey, foretold is forewarned. People need to be tracking with me about what's been going on, because I've been at this for about the last 2 years. And believe me, I have better things to do in my life, but I can think of nothing more meaningful than to expose wrongdoing in places like the police department, which we rely on these people to keep our environment civil, We got enough trouble with people on the outside of America trying to destroy us. We don't need, departments all over America corrupting our way of life, and then we just roll over and play dead. Let me tell you something. I survived cancer. Cancer didn't scare me, and neither did these people. Cancer didn't stop me, and neither will I be stopped in my quest to resolve this matter in a fair way and to be made whole for the injury that I have sustained and the harm that has been done to me. All right? So I just want to thank you very much for paying attention to me for these 34 minutes. If you lasted that long, congratulations. It's an effort. but it's well worth it. And again, please subscribe to my channel. Hit that red button down there and be part of what's going on in the life of Brother Mike and my views and efforts to make Worcester a better place to live in and to raise the consciousness of people all over America about matters that involve their personal freedoms. Thank you very much, and may God richly bless you.